It's nighttime on the Russian coast. Oleg is helping a group of smugglers steal 1 ton of caviar using a small boat. The sailor he hired warns that the boat can only handle 600 kilos and refuses to take more, even after Oleg offers him extra money. Oleg fakes a phone call to his wife, but actually contacts the smuggler, instructing him to tell the sailor the cargo is only 600 kilos. The lie works and the full ton is loaded. The boat doesn't make it far. It sinks slowly under the weight, forcing the men to swim to shore. The sailor demands compensation for the damaged boat. Oleg gives him his modern car in exchange, leaving himself with the sailor's old vehicle and a 1 million debt to the smugglers. The next day, Oleg visits his girlfriend Sveta at the bank where she works to request a loan. She denies the request because he hasn't repaid his previous loan. Wanting to help, Sveta suggests they ask her family for support since they own a house. Oleg dislikes the idea but has no better option. They drive to her family home, where everyone lives together. Sveta's father, Boris, hasn't left the house in 5 years because he's wanted by authorities. Her grandfather, Pavel, is elderly and wishes for death. Her sister, Rita, works as a theater accountant, but wants to be a performer. Her brother, Tolek, trains dogs and wants to join the army, but asthma prevents him. Her youngest sister, Sasha, dreams of being an adult and is infatuated with Oleg. Oleg attempts to discuss his money problems with Boris, but must wait until Boris finishes singing. Once Boris hears Oleg's request, he reacts strongly, comparing selling the house to selling the family into slavery. Oleg tries to clarify that he only needs a guarantor letter and that no one will lose the house, but Boris still refuses. Their argument is interrupted when a meteorite crashes through the roof and hits Pavel. The family rushes outside thinking they're under attack, but after seeing more meteorites falling from the sky, they realize it's a meteor shower and go back inside. They carry Pavel to his bed, and then Oleg and the siblings begin digging out the meteorite, hoping to sell it. One by one, the others fall asleep, leaving Oleg to finish alone. By morning, Oleg emerges from the hole and finds Pavel awake and calling for him. Pavel says he's about to die and refuses medical help. He tells Oleg he's ready to go and delivers a final message for the family. They can all go to hell. After confirming Pavel has no pulse, Oleg rushes to tell Sveta, but she's asleep and doesn't respond. Oleg falls asleep next to her. Later, Tolek wakes him to show him something. Sveta is gone. Oleg follows Tolek to the living room, where they find the meteorite has melted into a strange liquid. Sasha now has super strength, Rita can fly, and Sveta appears with half her body invisible. Pavel also reappears, alive again. Rita suddenly loses control and flies through the hole in the roof, then crashes to the ground. Pavel dies again as Sveta becomes fully visible. They bring Rita back and tie her to prevent her from floating away, which causes Pavel to revive. The family realizes the meteorite has given them powers that only work when they're together. They visit a doctor, but he finds no health issues. He suggests the powers are simply linked to them staying close. At dinner, they discuss what to do. Rita wants to use her powers to perform, but Pavel warns that others might experiment on them. Tolek, feeding his dogs, discovers he can now understand them. Oleg suggests going on TV to make money, but Boris refuses to let the family be exploited. That night, Oleg asks Sveta about the money they have in the bank, while she wonders if her children might inherit her invisibility. The next morning, Pavel attempts to hang himself, but it fails. Being near his family keeps him alive. Meanwhile, Boris accidentally discovers his ability to teleport while straining in the bathroom. He decides the family needs a break and takes them on a fishing trip to relax. At the lake, Boris practices controlling his teleportation, while Oleg shares a plan. They should rob a bank using their powers. Sveta, being invisible, can walk in, take the money and leave, as long as she stays close enough to the others to maintain her powers. Rita, Tolek, and Sasha agree to the plan. Boris refuses, even saying it wouldn't matter if Oleg left and they lost their powers. Frustrated, Oleg drives off, and Sveta joins him after telling the family to store Pavel's body in the basement until they return. While driving, Oleg explains the plan again, but they're stopped by a group of smugglers. They demand repayment. Oleg says he needs a month, but they give him 1 week, threatening to sell his organs if he fails. After the smugglers leave, Sveta realizes the danger Oleg is in and agrees to help. The next day, Oleg and Sveta show Boris a new house they could afford if the robbery succeeds. Boris says he doesn't need a new house, but Sveta insists it's time to leave the old place behind. She demands a better life and a working toilet. When she starts crying and explains she's never asked him for help before, Boris finally agrees to the plan. After finalizing the plan, the family celebrates, but Sasha keeps interrupting Oleg and Sveta whenever they try to be alone. The next morning, Sasha puts on makeup to impress Oleg. Soon, the others start listing demands in exchange for their help. Pavel wants to be cremated after the heist, Rita wants to perform in front of a crowd, and Sasha wants a date with Oleg. Oleg refuses, saying it's too much, but Boris tells him that if he wants the family's support, he needs to support them too. Oleg agrees. He arranges for Rita to perform at her theater, then later discovers his power while in bed with Sveta. He can produce water from his finger, which Sveta says is at least useful for watering plants. The next morning, Sasha joins them to scout the bank. It's not the one she works at, which means they can proceed without drawing suspicion. As the group discusses the plan, Sasha asks what would happen if Sveta got caught and arrested. She jokes about taking care of Oleg, and Sveta plays along. When they return home, they find out Oleg has shaved his head. He's been accepted into the army, which means he can't help with the robbery. Boris is upset about losing his son, but Oleg stays focused on the plan. He uses his contacts to arrange for the army to rescind Oleg's acceptance, calling it a mistake. Oleg is furious, but Boris is happy with the outcome. Oleg reassures Oleg and promises to help him get into the army later, earning back his trust. Next, the group visits a funeral home to prepare for Pavel's cremation. The employee gives them a form for Pavel to wear, so police know where to send the body when he dies. Afterward, Oleg takes Sasha to lunch at an upscale restaurant. The family secretly watches them, with Sveta invisibly sitting nearby to supervise. Sasha tells Oleg she wants to leave with him after the heist, saying she's tired of her family. Before he can respond, the smugglers show up at the same restaurant. They confront Oleg, and when Sasha realizes who they are, she attacks them. The situation escalates, forcing the family to run and avoid drawing more attention. Sasha eventually loses her powers and leaves the smugglers behind. That night, the family listens to Oleg's dog howl the national anthem. The next day, they begin the heist. Oleg parks the car across the street in direct sunlight because the alley Boris suggests has a no parking sign. Since Sveta's clothes can't turn invisible, she removes them and enters the bank naked and invisible, alongside Oleg. Inside, Sveta watches employees to learn passcodes and safe combinations. Oleg takes a photo of the floor plan for use during their escape. Outside, Boris grows uncomfortable in the heat and decides to move the car into the alley for shade. Parking in the restricted area becomes a problem. It's reserved for the bank's armored truck, and when one arrives, the guards tell the family to move. Boris refuses, knowing that moving the car would expose Sveta. With no other choice, the guards use their truck to push the car away. Sveta becomes visible in front of an employee and a customer, both stunned by her sudden appearance. The family quickly calls Oleg. He runs outside and helps them drag Pavel's body to the front of the bank, keeping close to Sveta. Once near them, she regains her powers and disappears again. The two men who saw her assume they imagined it. As the family prepares to leave, the police stop them for a routine check. Boris panics, believing he's wanted, and teleports, accidentally landing inside the police truck. He's arrested immediately. Hours later, Oleg bails him out by trading in another car. Back home, Oleg tells the family Boris was never wanted by the police. It was all in his head. Frustrated, Oleg scolds everyone for acting out and demands no more arguments or misuse of powers. The next day, they still have to take Rita to the theater as promised. When it's her turn to perform, she sees the large audience, including familiar faces, and panics. She flies out of the theater to avoid performing. Oleg goes after her, but is intercepted by the smugglers. They drag him onto the stage and beat him in front of the crowd, unintentionally turning him into part of the show. After the smugglers leave, Oleg is furious and lashes out at the family, accusing them of wasting their abilities and calling them lazy and self-absorbed. He tries to leave, wanting nothing more to do with them. But Boris comes up with a plan. He decides to kidnap Oleg. That night, the family returns to the bank to carry out the heist. While Pavel distracts a group of drunk men by drinking fuel and breathing fire, the rest of the family mass up and prepares to go in. Sasha blocks the street with a truck to hide their activity. She pulls a chain that Rita attached to the window, creating a hole in the wall. Boris teleports inside, and Sasha throws Sveta through the opening. Rita flies in with the others. Sveta disables the alarm using the access code she memorized. Sasha lifts the safe and tosses it into the street. The family quickly loads the money into their car. When the police arrive, Oleg distracts them by releasing the dogs. Once they've taken all the money they can, they grab Pavel, who leaves a trail of fire as he runs, and escape. By sunrise, they stop to celebrate at a distant spot. Pavel reminds them of the final part of the deal. They must leave him behind to die. After saying their goodbyes, the family drives off. But when they see Pavel collapse, they return to help. He refuses their aid, shouting that this is what he wants. Boris suggests they all live together, but Oleg shuts the idea down. The heist wasn't clean, and the police will find them soon. Oleg and Sveta plan to go to Thailand. Oleg is heading to Moscow, and Sasha and Rita want to go to Brazil. The girls ask Boris to join them, but before he can answer, Pavel reveals he already called the police to report his body. The family leaves for good. Later, Sveta is disturbed by her grandfather's death and refuses to take the money when Oleg tries to divide it. She says they should return it. Oleg refuses, so she kicks him out of the car and leaves him. Realizing nothing has changed, Oleg moves on. He settles his debt with the smugglers and hides the rest of the cash by taping it to his body. At the airport, he sees news that the family has been arrested for trying to retrieve Pavel's body from the funeral home. He boards the plane but changes his mind and returns to help. At the funeral home, he tries to bribe an employee for the body, but the man demands $1 million. Oleg gives him everything he has left and takes Pavel's body to the courthouse, where the family is on trial. Inside, everyone regains their powers. Boris teleports out of the cage, and he and Pavel start attacking officers. Sasha breaks the cage open, freeing the others. Together, they overpower the guards and escape. Boris declares Oleg officially part of the family. Outside, armed police wait for them. Rita distracts them by flying overhead, pretending to be a religious sign. The family uses the opening to steal a car and flee. The chase continues through the city. Boris teleports into a police car to redirect it. Sasha pushes others out of the way, and Oleg cleans a dirty mirror using water from his finger. Sasha helps the car make a sharp turn, causing a pileup that stops all but one police car. Rita then lifts their car into the air, helping them escape. Eventually, they meet with the smugglers and pay them to hide inside a shipping container. Their destination is Thailand. They now have 20 days ahead, cut off from the world with only each other for company.